modified it because the political pressure was that we have to improve the literacy rate in India. So they started in 1986 with Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan, education for all. And they opened large number of government schools and gave all sorts of incentives to students, to youngsters to come and get educated in the schools. That's what is. But what is the result? Most of these schools, they produce either dropouts or students with very low IQ. Some private schools are there in India which do produce students with very high IQs, and they, today manage the top corporations in the world and in India. But value education in all of them is missing. In some schools, they have religious educations, primarily minority schools. So this is what was happening. And now what do we have compared to this situation in the world, and then Indians, supporting what is going on in the direction in which the world is going? I will just cite some examples where the world is going and what we are doing. Who knew about WWW 20 years ago? WWW means World Wide Web. And today, it is a part of us. We are guided by it in our thoughts, in our search, in our education. Internet has eliminated the distance of time and in the concept of time and distance. I give speech here, I regularly give lectures here to the classes in the United States. So there is no concept of time and distance. What is happening in US, it is coming here today. So we are all getting technology oriented. That is the key. What does that mean? That the 20th century has created a set of highly complex algorithms, like the World Wide Web. I want to know where is Dr. K.P. Mishra. I just put it on the Google and I get 10, and then I select and I get everything that I want to know. So this is what our guru is replaced by an individual thing. And talks all of logic, algorithms, no values. People are just becoming slaves of that. Then there are concentration of power. The technology has created 100 or 200 corporations in the world which tell us how to think, what to buy, what to do, what not to do. They keep on pressurizing you. These are the values that we are getting. And the result is, most of us who are not yet tuned to that thing, we feel left out. We feel isolated, and the urbanization taking place to support the development. We see the cultural, religious, and racial interplay adding more problems to our problem. Like, you talk of secularism. This is a secularism in which technology and science is also a big player compared to human beings, So there is a growing fever of survival in the near future due to devastating consequences of global warming, religious fanaticism, and political dominance. Because some people are becoming very powerful and they impose their values. Violence, greed, and arrogance, they are the accepted norms of life. For example, us in India, we see every ad saying, "Dil mange more." What does that mean? Be greedy, need more, because the companies make money. So all this is happening, so what do we do? What do we do? Then inspired by Gandhi and later practitioners of Ahimsa like Martin Luther King and Nelson Mandela, everybody is now talking of a holistic system of education because we are feeling restless. I have everything, but I am stressed. You see proliferation of psychologists, psychiatrists, all kind of people to whom we go for help. So we are looking for some holistic solution to the problem. And for that, I think moral, or I call it value education, as the core of primary education system is essential. It tells you how to deal with yourself. It tells you how, it will teach you how to deal with others as equals. And this is the difference I feel between the influence impact till today of high IQ. I must have 99% in SAT or GMAT or GRE so that I can go to a very good school. My emotions and how I am, kind or not, doesn't matter. Now that has to change. Why that has to change? Because researchers have seen that people who had very high IQ, what were they doing 30 years after they got into a corporation or anything? And their results were astounding. That the success in life was not directly proportional only to your intellectual quotient, but there are people who were of lower but IQ but high in emotional intelligence, as we call, or empathy, compassion, whatever you call, able to study, able to read, gauge an other's mind and include those feelings in your decision-making system. And in this context, these are the researches which have been done mostly overseas. A lot of scientific and psychoneurological studies supported these, as are reflected by, I call my Bible, Daniel Goleman's book, Emotional Intelligence, Robert Edner of University of Rochester in 1974, and lately Candace Pike in early 2000 on immunology and molecules of emotions respectively. And there, all these researches have emphasized the importance of values or emotions. And then at University of Tufts also there was a big experiment on this effect, and all these culminated in our taking this initiative at International School for Gen Studies. Of course, Tara Sethia was also a very big influence on our thinking, so I must pay my regards to her. Now we come to value education. Most of the speakers today talk of ahimsa, non-violence. Now, if we go to the non-violence, then it includes all values: compassion, forgiveness, tolerance, emanating from equality, all these things. So I can say ahimsa education, but I say value. What are your roots? Where do you come from? How, like you were saying, how do I recognize my daughter in the crowd? These are the values, okay? So we talk of value education, and what this value education I feel is, it's a deliberate effort to explicitly or implicitly promote certain values among school-going learners. It includes character education, moral education, peace education, citizenship education, and education for social and emotional learning. This is what I include in the value education. And what do you expect from the schools today? Like, I remember a comic that earlier teacher used to call the parents, your child is not doing well. So they will say, sorry, we will work hard, we will do this. But today when the same parents go to the school and the teacher says your child is not doing well, they say, that's your job, why you are complaining to us? So this is a transit that we are talking of, that value education should imply. It provides holistic education, upgrading Mahatma Gandhi's idea of education that I talked to, training the head, training the heart, and training the hands. All those things together, which were later on, and last to four by Delors, and which were adopted by United Nations. Now, what are the key determinants to design value education policies? And the first I say is the state policy. I gave you example of what the British did, what the Muslims did. And here we say, I have an example of 18 countries that we studied where they define what is the value of the nation that they want to propagate. And I just give an example of Indonesia. In Indonesia, they say entire education is officially based on Panchshila. And what are the 5 basic values? Belief in one God, just and civilized humanity, unity of Indonesia, democracy, and social justice. So these are the 5 values that they say that our education system must promote. Then it also depends on the ideology of the decision maker, the people who run the schools. Some are authoritarian and some are democratic, liberal, conservative, or globally oriented. And the next, which is very important, what is the adult belief? Do they think that children are just empty vessels? You just fill whatever you want and they will do it? Or you want to be active constructors of meaning to be supported by adults, like Kaufman was talking about, that we try to prepare the children, not just say, do this, do that, and the child keeps on doing that. And now I come to the next step about what is in the pipeline. The Government of India has proposed a draft to Education Policy 2019. I have gone through it, and at least it looks a little hopeful. I don't know about implementation, how it will be implemented. And I just give you some salient features. Preamble, it says, to ensure that it touches the life of each and every citizen consistent with their ability to contribute to many growing developmental imperatives of this country on the one hand, and towards creating a just and equitable society on the other. Secularism, equality, everything comes in the preamble. And the basis for this is Declaration of Universal Human Rights at the UN General Assembly. Second is learning the treasure within, the principles of Delors. Third is, and this I think is very important, drawing from India's cultural diversity. They want to develop a system which represents Indian culture, Indian values. And it says India has been and continues to be a cradle of great diversity in all walks of life, languages and dialects, classical dance forms and music forms, many well-developed traditions of folk art and music, etc., etc. So they are thinking of including this. So like I have got the answer. So I come to the concluding part. I feel that value education is very important. It must be made a part of maybe a core of the education system for the school-going children at least. We started an experiment for Teachers for Peace program 4 years ago, and in this we are trying to teach the teachers how to teach or how to practice, not teach, how to practice non-violence and all these values in their classroom. And we are interacting very closely with 2 or 3 very large-scale developments in India. One is Mulyavardhan by Bharatiya Jain Sangathan, who are teaching value education in over 100,000 schools, government schools in India. And then there is Desh Apnaye Foundation, which is teaching sense of belonging to the nation and ourselves. We have adopted 6 schools in India, catering to economically weaker section society students and trying to implement and monitor what we are talking about and see their impact. Thank you very much.